Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Move Ahead with Dalia. On today's podcast, my guest is Bertina Power. Hi, Bertina.
Hi, Dalia.
So, Bertina is an author, real estate broker, general contractor, investor,
Success strategist.
Yes.
Yes.
Among many other things.
Yes.
And I'm so happy to have you here today because we have a lot to cover.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being here. The one thing that I want to start off with is talking about your book, The Power of You.
And how no one is you, and that's your power.
That's right.
Yes.
It's an amazing story and beautifully written. And I'd love for you to tell me why you wrote the book.
So, honestly, I wrote the book because I wanted to become a superstar motivational speaker.
Oh.
And a book gives you authority on a subject matter. But then pouring into the book, to make it great as I would want it to be, has lended to being what I call a toolbox, your power tools. And so now it has allowed me to really be able to do better what I was doing before, which was to talk about how to do this or how to do that, or how did I manage to go from here to there. It now gives me a point of reference to doing it. But it was something that probably more people pushed me to do than I wanted to do myself. I didn't consider myself an author at all. I tell people I'm a salesman. My background is accounting. Like, I'm a numbers girl, right? But writing, no. But then I also tell people that if you look back over your life, you'll see. Over my life, since I was in high school, I've been writing in diaries and journals. So I've been writing a long time. I just didn't think I was a formal author. Authoress, however they're going to say it today. So the story of my youngest son, which I'm sure we'll get into, led to the interwoven piece throughout it. But it also is just to identify those power tools, right? Like, we have books on mindset and we might have books on self-care, but I've always been one that I need totality in anything I do. I need to know from beginning to end, what is it? So I don't want to be told that my mindset, once I get it right, that's it. Well, what about the words? And what about the actions? Right. And then what about resources? And what about, like all these other pieces that really make up the successful pie.
Yeah.
And then before I knew it, the book was done and edited and ready to go.
Well, when was it released?
It was released March of 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that the ebook is coming up soon, right?
The ebook will be, it's actually really available, but I will officially be launching it this weekend, which happens to be my birthday weekend. So
Happy birthday!
Thank you! Yeah, so this late April would be the launch of so by the time I think this episode airs, it will be available. So it's available now on Kindle and all other platforms where ebooks are available. But I did the audiobook, and it's already available as well.
It is?
And the audiobook is also available on Audible.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
So where can we find your book?
Well, you can find it in a few places. You can go to bertinapower.com. That's Bertina, and there's no S on power. But you can go there and you can get the book. Amazon has the book. Barnes & Noble has the book online. Books A Million has it online. So it's in a couple places online. And but everybody loves an Amazon. And if you go to Amazon and put in my name, which is the easiest way to find it, you'll see all three options of Audible, Kindle, and the hardback.
And how is the book doing on the market?
Well, it's doing well within my publisher house. I won the first year and last year as bestseller. So
nice.
It is,
Congratulations.
Thank you. It is officially a bestseller book.
That's wonderful.
So I'm very excited about that. I'm in real estate. We're going to talk about that. So I'm in real estate sales, and I tell people teasingly, I'm a salesman who wrote a book. And so, of course, I would hope that, I'd be in the running for selling the most books because I would sell it like I sell real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to congratulate you on all your success.
Thank you so very much.
You're an entrepreneur in many avenues, which is incredible.
Yes.
How do you do it? How do you balance that?
Was interesting, right? Everything doesn't require the same hours all the time, right? So great that if I was doing a presentation or speaking somewhere, they might fly me out. I'll do that, and then I'm back on a plane the next day, and I'm back home, right? So it's not something that I have to do all day, every day. Real estate, same way, right? You got your clients, you're working with them. You usually have to work with them when they're off work. So that might be nights and weekends,
Right.
leaving me a lot of free time during the day. But the key to any of all of this, Dalia, is time management on steroids. And that means
That's great.
That means my calendar is my life. Right, like I live by my calendar.
You put
I tell
everything
people,
in there.
everything. And I tell people, I go, it wasn't in my calendar. That's how come I didn't show up. Like, if you don't watch me put it in, if you didn't hear me say I'm adding it to my calendar right now, the odds are I might have not put it in, and then I'm gonna overbook something else in the space or completely forget all about it. And then my calendar is not just any old calendar; it's an organized calendar. So real estate has a color. My sons have a color. My personal stuff has a color. Everybody's got a color.
I love that, and I really need to implement that.
Yes, everybody can do that. I do this on my phone's calendar, you know, and I know iCal, which most people have iPhones, they let you design colors. Pick a color, and then that way when there's a place for you to be like, which category does this fall under? So there goes my accounting background, right? Like we like order, like we like things in order and organized. And so that's where that comes from. But it is so much more helpful. And then that way, the night before, I'm looking at my calendar for tomorrow. I'm running through it. I might have a to-do list. A lot of people write to-do lists. I say take your to-do list and put it on your calendar like an appointment. And then that way it gets done.
Yeah. I like that tip. You're so good. You're so good.
Those are just a few hacks that I think
I love
about.
it. I love it. Well, you have to have them for all the things you're doing. So
you have to, because
you're the right person to ask.
Listen, and putting time off in there.
Yes.
Putting time off, special times, things you want to do with your kids, your family, your spouses, your partners. You have to put that in there as well, because then, I think what happens is sometimes entrepreneurs are so quick to want to tell everybody what it is that is not allowing them to do what they want. So if you call them in, you say, "Oh, I'd like to do this." I don't say, "Oh, I'm having dinner with my husband." That's not what I say. I say, I have an appointment. I won't be able to do it then, but I can do it.
That's right.
Right? Because it's an appointment. It's on my calendar.
That's
if I treat it like I would any other money-making activity appointment on my calendar,
that's right,
then it gets done. Yeah. And that's all I can say about it is to treat it that way.
You're absolutely right. And that's how I am too. I put everything on my calendar. I just need to start color coding them.
Color coding them lets you know what it does. It lets you at a glance go, oh, okay. Because I might put something on my calendar that my son is doing, but I'm not doing it.
Right.
Right. But it's an event that I just want to know he's doing and where he might be, so that, okay, he's there from 4 to 6. But if you want to go see something between 4 and 6, I'm available.
Yes.
But it's on my calendar that he's doing something. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Love it. So speaking of your son, talk to me about your journey to where you are today, because there's a lot. They got to read the book to get the real deal.
Yes.
But I'd love for you to give us some information about the journey
Right. So, you got to figure, I'll just start with my journey in real estate. Came in the early 2000s, was on HGTV. Then I got married, as traditionally what happened. Then had my first son. No problem, right? You have the son, and I'm still doing, really busy in real estate and moving through it. But this is actually 07, 08. This is when the market crashes, right? So I'm slightly reinventing myself and, still doing more real estate. And then it's time for my second child. So I'm going through the pregnancy. Everything moves along fine until the day, which would be the day that he was born. I woke up that day and something just didn't feel right, from the night before. And, mom's out here, nesting, right? So I felt like I was nesting. And so everything seemed to be going okay. But that morning, something just was off. And fast forward, what was off was that I had a full placental abruption, which for most people, they don't understand what that means. But that basically is take a child and put him in a plastic bag and close it. So there was no air, no oxygen coming to him. And then because it was a tear, in essence, to my body, I was also having a reaction. And they then said to us that we're going to try to save both lives. So I was rushed into the hospital with them trying to save both lives. So it wasn't until I came to that they told me that, oh, Mom, he's fine. Because I was one of those people who did not like to know what I was having. I was like, I never get surprised. So I wanted a surprise. So it was a boy, another boy, my second son. And, everybody around me seemed to be having this gloom look around them. And I'm going like, what's going on? Well, apparently they had worked on him 10 minutes to bring him back to life. And then even with that, turned around and told me he won't live probably 3 to 6 months.
Wow. I'm so sorry. That
Yeah.
must have been so tragic.
Yeah. And a lot of people like to say, I'm sorry. So here's a Bertina in action. I say, don't cry for me, Argentina. Why? Because I'm here today with this book, with this story, with doing what I'm doing, stepping into my power with the gifts that I was given because of my storm. So we think storms come to destroy us. And I say they come to help you find a hidden potential and a power you never knew you had. And so that's what came from that storm. I learned to dance in the rain. It wasn't easy. I'm not going to say that. So you can read all about that. It wasn't easy, but I got through it on the other side. And people from outside watched me. And that's where one of the chapters, The Power of Presence, comes about, where you need to understand people are watching you and what you're doing. And I didn't know it, but they were using what they were seeing from me as their own personal strength in some situations and saying, well, can I really be upset about this scenario? Look what Bertina has done and look where she is now. And, and so, that took me aback, like, what? They were like, yeah, I often think, what would Bertina do in this scenario? I go, oh my gosh, that is some heavy words you're using there. But all of that, and I lended myself to say, listen, you said you were going to start paying attention to these signs and things around you. And that's what happened. It all sort of just came on me at the same time. Write the book. And then these very things that I had done and some I learned through the storm. Right. See, that's the other piece that you need to understand, that the storm is going to teach you a few qualities and characteristics that you didn't have. And I learned a lot through that. Patience was one of them. I was not a patient person.
It brought it out.
It brought out patience. Dealing with a son that has a severe cerebral palsy and cannot move to my demands of get up, let's go, like none of that. Just has no control over anything. And so whatever that is means that I have to be patient. That's right. And wait. And then came sympathy and more empathy for others and individuals and just everything. And so from there, I'm on the other side and realized that the things I had going into it brought me to the other side. And the things that I learned, all that was that was the power tool set. And that's where it was. At the core of it, I realized it was the power of me, though.
Yes.
It was who I am and what I brought to the table. And that's what I say to any and everybody. I say, oh, no, you have the power. But if you don't believe you have it, then that's when it all goes wrong right from there.
And like you said, sometimes these storms bring out, well, most of the time, it brings out those powers that you didn't know you had.
Yeah, but we so focused on the storm.
Yeah.
We give all our energy into what went wrong. And I did. And you get this conversation where you say to yourself, why is this happening to me? Right. Why me? And some people stay there. Mm-hmm. My blessing was I got out of that space with a comment that you put your air mask on first before you help somebody else.
That's right.
And that changed my whole belief in realizing it wasn't why me, it had to be me.
Yes.
It had to be a Bertina who had a personality that says, let me tell you what we're going to do now.
Yes.
It had to be a person who believed in self-care before the storm, right? That it was like, let me go back to the things that make me happy.
Yes.
Because if I fill my cup up with the things that make me happy and give me energy, then I have just that much over the overflow to give to everything else that makes it happen.
Amen.
So you did ask me earlier, how do I do it all? The part of that is the power of self-care.
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 Well, I mentioned to you that that's my favorite chapter in the book.
Yes. It's
towards the end.
Yes.
And how we as women, moms, wives, you know, we wear so many hats, and we are not, most of the time, we are not giving ourselves the self-care. No. And you mentioned that, you know, put your mask on first so that you can help and serve others, right? Yeah. I didn't learn that till I was older as well. I feel like, you know.
Yes. Some learn it older and some never learn it, right?
Some never learn it. Yeah. But I love that. Talk about the self-care part for you.
Well, you hit it on the head, right? So you said you've learned it, right? So you're doing some things more now, right? And here you are doing something apparently that you wanted to do and love, but you're finding time to do it. Yes. But is it draining you? No. Probably not, because you now know to make sure to make space for what it is. And I think what happens is, you know, I talk about it in the book, 5 Distractors of Your Success, and whatever it is that you want to do. Yes. Being a super mom or being a working mom, whatever it is, it doesn't matter to me. But there are 5 success distractors. And obviously the number one to me, and maybe to some, is you. Meaning we put it on ourselves, right? So we tell ourselves we ought to feel guilty about wanting to do something else and leaving our kids. Or I feel guilty that I'm not the one cooking or washing the clothes and cleaning the house. That is things, and that's what I do when I work with my clients, is to help remove what I call these stifling beliefs. They're keeping you. They're holding you back from what it is that you in your mind say you want to do, what you feel in your heart you want to do. Yeah. But then you keep telling yourself, I have to do these things. You know, if it's not done by me, it won't be done. Really? Right. Like I just
we all have that.
Yeah, we all have it, right? Yeah. And so, you know, I am quintessentially one of those mothers who I had somebody who came in and took care of children, you know, and I paid them. And the mentality I use for that, well, if I go to work, my value is $100 an hour. I'm a negative 100 being in here doing something that I could pay somebody $25 an hour to do, and I'll still be up 75. Mm-hmm. See, again comes my numbers, right? So I tried to help it be understandable in the rationale. So, but self-care was it for me. I actually had gotten to a serious place of depression, suicidal thoughts, and was going to therapy. Just, you know, they signed me up. I went, you know, medicated and all. And throughout some part of the session, this is what the therapist says to me about putting my air mask on first. And it was a light bulb. Mm-hmm. That literally, in that moment, it switched me to the Bertina I was before falling down this rabbit hole and not having a way to really pull myself up out of it. Okay. And then I go, this is our last session. I was like, I got it. I was like, light on, light off, right? Like, I got it. Yeah. And I literally, from that moment, is here I am today, you know, a few years later. But, you know, he is 13, this baby that was only going to live 3 to 6 months.
He's a teenager already.
He's a teenager, like literally just a few weeks ago. And I celebrated 13 because people say 13 is a bad number, an unlucky number. I said, not in my house. 13 is a blessing. When it was only supposed to be 3 to 6 months. Wow. Yeah. So, you know, I do get it, but, and you can feel guilty. And I did for sometimes, you know, trying to get somebody else just to go take a nap. Right. This baby wasn't sleeping every 15 minutes, you know, like I was a zombie that didn't even know was a zombie. Right.
Well, that could have contributed to the depression.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Course,
and that's what contributes to depression. I don't know if I ate. I don't know if I bathed. Like all of these things are going on. You got to know that that's a strain on a marriage, right? You know, then I had another child. Remember, I had what would be classified as a normal, another 3-year-old. So still a little toddler to manage all in the same time. So within a year, the world that I had lived in, even with that, was completely flipped around. I was now divorcing on my own, not working, you know, like just everything. And so I had to use what I think another chapter in the book, which is very powerful, and that's the power of resources. And really stepping out of concerning myself with anybody is thinking and realizing if I am to survive, then I need to know what tools I need to survive. And that it, for me at the time, meant aid with, the state to give me money for food and clothing and taking care of the kids, staying with family until I could get back on, on my own 2 feet. And I did it, and it's just, having done it, again, humbled me some more, put me through this process. But I would tell anybody, whatever the resources are that you need to get the job done, to try to continue to think that I have to do it all.
That's right.
That's when we really lose it.
Right. And, the podcast is primarily to share resources.
Yes.
And especially, for the community, right? We want to make sure that people are taking advantage of things that are out there that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's wonderful that you put a chapter on the power of resources and talked about the things that you needed to lift you up. It was thoughtfully put together, I thought.
Thank you.
It really
Thank
was.
You. And I am one who has my entire life been a giver. So I volunteer. I have volunteered in many organizations. I have spent years in that process. I believe in volunteering and giving back. I even speak, so if somebody is watching this that has a non-for-profit for domestic violence, because that fell under their suicidal thoughts, or, just some professional development for a group or organization, I speak to those individuals, men, women, young children, whatever, right? Because if not me, then who, right? Like, that's one of those things that they say. And everybody's story is different. But to have a story and to overcome it is also great. One of the things I always ask people is, do they know where the richest place on earth is? I heard it once, and once I heard the answer, they start naming all kinds of continents and countries and things like that. But the richest place on earth is the graveyard, because of the individuals whose gifts that they were given never flourished in them. And that becomes the power of you. And once I realized that, sure, when I was a little kid, they wrote on my report card, Bertina talks too much to my parents.
And your parents thought that was a bad thing.
They thought it was bad.
Right.
Be quiet. It was a gift. It's a gift. This voice is a gift.
Yes.
And for people to want to listen to what I have to say is another gift. And I don't take it lightly. And I'm just happy to be able to stay in a positive state of my power and giving that positivity, because it is hard to stay there. I have troubled times myself, but I then have my own book and my own thoughts to remind myself, hey, listen, don't think those negative thoughts. Let's flip this around. How do we want to say this? How do we get out of here? And that's why this is a tool book. And that's why a lot of people, who have told me about it feel like it's a reference book. Like it's a book that they won't ever, just hide away.
You and I were channeling here. I swear, it's just freaking me out, because as you're speaking about that, I'm like, the power of book class. Can we do a course and use your book?
Yes.
Because honestly, mental health is important. Yes. And of course, helping people bring that out.
Yeah.
Their power.
Yeah.
So
because we have something that makes us, you. So many times I think what happens is everybody's trying to be somebody else. I can't be Dalia. I need to be Bertina, because who's going to be her?
That's right.
Right? And so then you work on what is it that you like to do, and how do you want to show up, and what are your benefits, or what comes easy. Right. See, we were talking earlier about how easy it is for me in front of a camera and to talk. I go, yeah, it's sort of been easy my whole life. Like I didn't even think I was supposed to be scared to do it. Like I just didn't even know. And so then I just realized, okay, everybody doesn't have that skill set, and that's okay. And then they always want to go, well, how do you do it? And what makes it easy? And I just try to share one quick, simple thing. I go, no one knows what you're going to say. So if you forget to say something, so what? That's it is what it is. But they're so nervous, about going out on stage and talking. And I go, hey, listen, you got invited to be here, or you raised your hand to want to do it. And at that point, it's just give it your best, right?
That's right.
And bring you to the table. And that's just sort of what I've been doing.
Well, I think our industry, our real estate industry, there's a good majority of people that they come out of their shell because you're forced to, right? You can't hide and expect to, sell homes and help people, right? You have to push yourself out there. And with all the coaching and videos that kind of try to bring out the best in us.
Yeah.
And I feel that for me personally, 25 years in the business, you've been...
I'm 25 next year.
25 next year. Yeah. Almost 50 years combined. Holy cow. I feel like, you figure it out. You jump, you take the jump, you take the leap.
Yes. Take a leap of faith. Right. Because it's the classic saying, like I think about we're old enough to know some of these old school sayings where it's like nothing beats a failure but a try. Right. Like, or, it's just like, I won't know if I like it if I don't try it. Right.
That's
like those are the, common sense or thought processes that I like to instill in my children, which is basically I go, my oldest Brandon, he was little, didn't want to eat anything green when he tells me this. And I was just like, so tell me, when was the last time you had it that you could make such a comment or declaration that you don't like it? Yeah. So then he couldn't. So then I was like, well, you're going to have to try it. And he eats all the green peas, green lettuce and salads. He eats everything, and he doesn't need all of that extra simply because I pushed him to try it, awesome. and he loves it, right? And so, and of course now I get that back sometimes, and he goes, "Ma, try this," and I go, "I don't like it." He goes, "Did you try it?" I go, "Okay, let me try it," because he's like, you can't teach him one thing and then turn around and do something else yourself. So, but that's just how I feel about it all, right? Like if you don't try it, how will you know if it's going to work for you? And just because it didn't work for somebody else doesn't mean it's not going to work for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. We are, I think, in terms of our business, especially after over 20 years each, you build that tenacity, right?
Yes.
You don't give up. Unless you absolutely know it's not for you, then you're just like, move on.
Yeah, but then, see, when you say real estate, I say there's so many positions within the real estate arena.
Course.
And so when I talk to a client who might be thinking about real estate and they just go, I can't do this part, I go, great, okay, good you know that. But there are so many other pieces. There are back office people that put them in real estate that can make the calls and appointments for you. Yes. They could work with the buyers only, right? Where all the appointments are being set up and they just go out, right? Yeah. They may not be the front and want to do the listings and things like that, but they can be a part of real estate. Real estate extends into the mortgages. It extends into insurance. Maybe you want to do another piece. Doesn't mean you'd have to leave it all together, but have you investigated all avenues before you just throw in the hat? And that's about anything, right? Yeah. Like I said, who knew about the book? I don't think I had the book out a week before somebody's like, so you're writing another book? I go, what?
I just started.
I didn't know I was writing this one, right? And so, it was just like, it was a try. It was a do. If I had sold 5 books, it wasn't a matter. I wrote the book, but it is doing very well. And I'm glad to, I come across my publisher and somebody who was like, helping you along the way. And I then imparted on her some things. And I think in life, what I like is one of my gifts is that I come in and I give and then I learn all at the same time, right? So it is really a give and take, a back and forth scenario. So I might have given her some ideas and then I've learned some things from her and things like that. So, and I'm always okay with that.
Yeah.
Just in life, I am a lifelong learner. Always learning. That's why you didn't mention them, but I have in real estate. I have the ABR, the GRS, GRI. I had the luxury, brand at one point. So always in class to get those designations.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And tell me about your other businesses. So you have the candles.
So under the book, basically, you always are branding things and people, once they get the book, they want something else, right? To help support you. So the t-shirt that I'm wearing is The Power of You.
I love it.
Yes. I have another one that is in color, right? That sort of matches the book in color. And then I expanded it to custom made candles, which is what we have. Can you smell the scent? Like even just being
they're
open.
Beautiful.
So we have the candles. I have 2 fragrances and I call them the Power of Self-Care scents. Right? Because scents, as we know, is another calming piece, right? Just lighting a candle, maybe having a glass of wine, just reading a book and lighting a candle. And so it has a wood wick on the inside, so it makes it sound like it's like a fire.
Oh, I love that.
That's like a crackling sound, and then the scent is a combination.
What are the scents?
So one is called Amber Noir, and the other one is Caribbean Cool, right? So one is a little bit heavier, and the other one's very light and pineapple-y in the sense. And
takes you to the Caribbean.
Yeah, it takes you to the Caribbean, and the other one, the other one was really intended for guys who like candles, right? And so I wanted to, but everybody's buying all of them now, so it doesn't matter to me.
And how do they get them?
Well, right now, in order to get them, they would have to reach out to me directly.
Okay.
I am definitely upgrading the site real soon so that all products would be on there. But I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Bertina Power. They can go straight there and inbox me and say, hey, I'm interested in getting whatever they're interested in getting, and then I can connect with them that way.
Awesome. So we covered a lot of things, but
Yes.
I want to make sure that is there anything that we missed that you want to add before we wrap up?
I don't know, but if you wanted me to say something to my real estate people who might be watching this,
yes.
I was like, a lot of real estate professionals have read the book, and that's great from there. But one of the things that I like for the key in success in real estate throughout these years, and I'm sure you would agree to it, is think about really listening to your clients. Sometimes we make work harder because we didn't really listen to the clients. I've gotten clients because other agents didn't listen that well. And then when they come to me, before we do anything, I sit down and have a conversation so I can have a much better understanding about why certain things are important to you and what does that really look like. In our world, we can give you a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in like 10 different ways. All the bedrooms upstairs, 1 bedroom on the first floor, one up. We can give it to you different ways, but is that how you want to live in it? Right. So if you're listening more and really listening for understanding, it could help you in your business a little bit more. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that would be one of the key things.
2 ears, one mouth.
Yes. And relationship building, and I tell this to people all the time, you got a database, which everybody's like, oh yeah, I got a database, I got a CRM. But when I get, do you want to be real estate, or do you want to buy real estate emails sent to me as a broker for 20 some years, then I already know your database is not organized properly. Because then you would only be sending me as a realtor, maybe something about your company if you want to try to recruit me. But the other thing you would be sending me is just your listings. Or an ask, because you got a buyer you're working with. But I shouldn't get emails that are asking me, do I want to, work with you as an agent? Not if I'm a licensed agent, right? It's just things are not organized. I shouldn't get Happy Father's Day.
Right.
I shouldn't. I just shouldn't, right? So really get that database organized, quite like we just talked about the calendar. Because with the calendar organized, with your client and database organized, you could do so much more with putting systems in place. And that's the third thing, and that is systematizing your business so that it sort of can work for you or be easy to work. And that's how I'm able to do so many things, because of the systems I had in place 20 years ago, I can use today. That if I get a new buyer, I already know what the steps are. I don't have to think. I don't have to rethink it again. I already know what to do, what's coming up next, and where do we go. Get a new listing, I already know what to do. I already know what's coming up. That's it.
Yes.
That's all we really doing is I'm looking for new listings and new buyers. And then I have other things like open houses or touring or whatever the case may be, but they all lead to a listing or a buyer. So
yeah, the systems are making your life easier.
Systems are making my life easier, and I take that same concept and put it in any other business. There's a system to a new client who wants to have me come and speak. Well, then we have a conversation, and I'm asking these set of questions, right? And then we go from there, and then there's the contract, and everything gets all, systematized. So I don't have to think about it over and over and over again every time. And I think that's what happens. You get a new client, and that agent goes all dwelling into, oh, I'm just so busy, I've got to do all this. Are you really? I was like, you're not really that busy, right? Like with it.
You're just missing systems.
Yeah, right. You're missing some systems. and the use of other resources is a part of that system.
Well, that's so true.
Yeah.
I have one more question.
Sure.
What do you love about living in Chicago?
What do I love about living in Chicago? Especially after I've lived in Virginia, New York, and Connecticut, right?
And you've done a lot of traveling
and I've done a lot of traveling as well. I would have to say for me, it was friends and family, right? Mm-hmm. Like once I came here, came back home, I realized what it was like to be someplace and you didn't have.
Were you born here in Chicago?
I was born and raised here in Chicago, southwest side of Chicago, born and raised, went grade school and high school through here, and then left. And then stayed away for a few years and came back. So I've been back now just as long as I was before the first time, longer than I was the first time I left it. What did I say? About 17 years old. And now, I've been back closer to 30 now. So longer.
You do love Chicago.
Oh, I do love Chicago.
I left
and I came back. Right. I love the lakefront. Right. I love the downtown, and I love our neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. Right. Like how they are very much so. I've moved into Chatham. Okay. Now the last couple of years. And it's such a neighborhood. That's what I've always wanted, is to talk across the fence in the alley to a neighbor, and then somebody walking their dogs and they stop outside while you're planting, right? Like just having that community, I guess, is what I like about Chicago. Having lived in a big city like New York, not quite the same. No community, honestly. I love it, but no community. In Connecticut, just when I was there, I was young and I was working, and I didn't get a chance to build community. I'm sure it's there too, but I didn't get a chance to do that myself. So I came back home, and when I came home, it was just like, like all the things that you miss and that you really love. And
well, Chicago is happy to have you here. You're going to put us on the map with your book.
Yes, I'll put us on the map with the book. Yes,
you are.
But Chicago is a big city with a lot of big stars, and I would be completely honored and blessed to be one amongst many.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Bertina.
Thank you for having me, Dalia, and congratulations and good luck, because you stepped off, right? And to do it and to try it, and I think it's great, and I think you have a great setup. I don't know where you started and how you got here, but I can only see it going into, more places, and it just comes from, just continuing to do it and try new things and see what works and see what doesn't work. So keep doing it, because you have the power.
Thank you.
And no one is you. And that's your power.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much.
You're so very welcome, and thank you.
Hey, thank you so much for listening today. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe so you can keep up with my latest episodes. You can find me on all social media platforms at Dalia the Realtor. To reach me directly, call me at 773-879-4855. I'll see you on the next episode. Make it a great day.